could have easily titled this video, I met D-Wade and clickbait all of y'all, but I'm not about that over here. Well, sometimes I am. I'm not gonna lie to you, but not this time. But that was actually me at Summer League. And why, you might ask? Well, because I love Summer League, particularly with the Miami Heat, because that is our first chance to get a look at whoever the next undrafted diamond in the rough is. I remember seeing Tyler Johnson's game-winning layup back in 2015. I knew at that moment that he was gonna be good. Now, did I think Miami would give him a bag that would set the franchise apart 4 years and they'd have to end up paying Ryan Anderson for 17 years straight? No. But I did know he'd be a legit NBA player. I remember getting super excited to see Tyler Herro play, but then it was Kendrick Nunn and Duncan Robinson who stole our hearts. I remember seeing Max Strus hit more shots in a sudden death overtime than he did in the entire NBA Finals, basically. I still love Max Strus though, don't get me wrong. And I could go on and on about Briante Weber's abundant yet exciting stints, or Tony Gonzalez playing for the squad. Yes, that Tony Gonzalez, NFL Hall of Famer. That actually happened. But this year, we did have a lot to get excited about, from the first round talents of Jovic and Jaime to the more familiar faces like Jamal Cain and Orlando Robinson getting some more time to shine. So today, I want to share my thoughts on all of that. First, I want to start with Nikola Jović. Well, Jovic? There's really not a difference. Listen, let me tell y'all about this man, Nikola Jović. Now, I didn't put no stats for today, particularly because it was kind of hard to find Summer League stats. I'm not gonna lie to you. Well, I have Orlando Robinson's. We'll get into him. First team all NBA Summer League, whatever the hell they call it. But a lot of guys play like different amounts of minutes here. Sometimes they'll just play a half. Sometimes they'll play 2 games instead of 3. So the stats for Summer League aren't exactly accurate. So I just want to talk about what I saw when these guys were out there on the court. Now, Nikola Jović, the thing that jumped off the page for me was his ability to get to the free throw line. Maybe that's not the best thing to hang my hat on because it's Summer League and guys get 10 fouls before they foul out. So a lot of guys are hacking all over the place. But it was his ability to look smooth while getting into the paint. The way he was able to attack the rim and not look like he was falling over his feet or tripping over himself or losing the ball, is that sort of thing. Now, we saw some of that, but he's 20 years old. Obviously, I'm going to cut him a lot of slack for a lot of that. But those are not things that we saw in last year's Summer League. Last year was particularly... Stop the video. You think that you can guard me? That is crazy. Listen, if I make this shot right now, subscribe, like the video. Helps your boy out a lot. Let's get it. Cash money. Leave a like down below. I do appreciate it. You know, we got a little bit of handle from him, but it's particularly the outside shooting, the jump shot, some mid-range stuff like that. But the fact that he now looks like he can potentially be a 3-level scorer is what has really got me excited. Now, he played, he didn't play every game. I think he might have played like 3 or 4 games, but he looked good in every game that he played for the most part. The 3-point shooting was still there. It was chef's kiss beautiful. Obviously, when he got to the free throw line, he did make those 2. That is the most important thing. So he did a lot of the things that we know he can do, but also looked like he added another dimension to his game. And maybe that's because I didn't even mention the best thing is his body. His physical build though looked very nice. I mean, we heard that he put on like 20 pounds, and I feel like is this going to be an important notification? No, it's not. Dame is not in Miami, so I don't care. From now on, I ain't answering no notifications unless I see it's the Bleacher Report red as I kick my camera. Unless it's the Bleacher Report red alarm siren, because they always be putting that when there's a trade. We heard a lot of stuff like about Kyle Lowry losing weight, Tyler Herro putting on weight. We've heard that every offseason for the last 2 or 3 years, but yet I don't see a difference when I look at those guys. They told us that Nikola Jović put on weight, and you can see it. And not only did he put on the weight, but he kept his athleticism, and he knew how to use his body, which was very positive to see coming from such a young guy. Now, he is in Serbia. He's practicing to be on the I don't know if it's Olympic team, national team, FIBA, whatever they got going on now, but he is over there practicing. That's why he did miss the last part of this Summer League. So it's nice to know that he's still working on his game over there. I don't think he technically graduated high school yet, actually. I don't think he took his final exams is the last thing I heard, which is wild to me that the dude is 20 and still in high school. But I don't know how things be working over there, but he's obviously still working on his game. They played him a lot. We didn't going into the Summer League. We didn't know if the Heat were gonna showcase Jaime and Jovic or try to rest them. So if in case there was a Dame trade looming, we'll get into Jaime after. But they definitely try to showcase Jovic, and he showed that everything he can do. And I think his trade stock went up a lot this Summer League. If anything, it didn't go down. It's certainly I think out of a lot of teams excited. Certainly the Miami Heat. There's a lot of Heat fans saying, I wouldn't trade Jovic for Dame. I say you're crazy. But I do like Nikola Jović, and if he is on this team, I think he will play a very solid role this year. I think he'll be a part of the rotation. Now, I don't think he'll start. There's been some talk of that because the only other options at this moment are Caleb Martin, again, or Kevin Love. I'd be fine with either one of those guys, except I still want someone better. I just don't think that's Nikola Jović, but obviously, I expect the Dame to come here and there to be a whole roster turnaround around that. So we'll see what happens when Jovic is still on this team. The next guy that I want to get into is Jaime Jaquez. Probably the best name in the league. Has to be. Best name, best hair. Knew nothing about him coming into the NBA other than the fact that he was 22 and they were saying that he was a power forward, but he was like 6'6", 6'7". So I said, great, here we go, another undersized big man. They said he's not athletic. Nobody that was scouting him seemed to know anything that they were talking about. This dude could jump out the gym, bro. Now, he's not technically a power forward, I guess, even though they might have said that on ESPN on draft night. It seems like he could play more of a combo, so the 2 or the 3, but he can do a little bit of everything on the offensive end, which is what I love to see. Now, they said he was NBA ready. Better be at 22 years old. That's why you take those guys. And that's, of course, also what the Heat need now, just because they are looking to win a championship. You know, this year, the window is currently open. So if you do add a rookie, who you keep on the roster, you want someone who's not a developmental project. The one thing that we did hear about him from the scouts that was correct was his beautiful footwork. And y'all know I am a big footwork guy. I have a foot fetish when it comes to that sort of thing. I don't know if I should have said that, but as I was thinking about it in my brain, I decided to let it get out my mouth. But y'all know what I was trying to say, though. I love a guy with footwork. Y'all see right here, I got the Hakeem Olajuwon Funko Pop. I keep wanting to call it Pop Socket. The Funko Pop. And the reason I love Hakeem is the way he used to embarrass dudes with his footwork. That's something I certainly try to implement in my game. I'm not the most athletic dude out there, so how I get around that is with fakes, with pivots, with spins, with dream shakes, and I absolutely love that game. And although although Jaime Jaquez only played 2 Summer League games, he certainly showed us that he has that ability. Wasn't great in the second game. He was dealing with a little bit of a shoulder thing, though. So we really only saw 1 full game from Jaime, which he balled out. Let me tell you, the dude had 3 fouls in like 35 seconds. Airballed his first shot. I sent a text out to my boy Khalil saying, this guy's a bum. And then he put the poster on the dude and didn't look back. He was so good in that one game. Very, very excited for him. There's a big debate if the Heat can keep one rookie. Which one do they rather keep? I go back and forth on the whole thing. Prior to Summer League, I did say Jaime Jaquez because I believed he was more NBA ready, but Nikola Jović did have the better Summer League, but not really a fair thing to say. He played a lot more games. So that still remains to be seen. If Joe Cronin keeps being a dumbass, we'll probably see both these guys in training camp and preseason, and then we'll get a better idea about both of those guys. But certainly, like every other Heat fan out there, big fan of Jaime Jaquez at the moment. But maybe the guy I should be standing is Orlando Robinson. Let me tell you, who had this guy being first team All-NBA Summer League? Who had that? I mean, the Heat need a backup big, right? I think he may have solidified himself in that role, of course, with Thomas Bryant. Originally, I thought they still might be looking elsewhere for a DeMarcus Cousins, or I was hoping Hassan Whiteside type, but now I think they're set. Obviously, Thomas Bryant's going to get the main role there, but behind him, in case of injuries, foul trouble, I do think that the Heat trust Orlando Robinson in that role. Of course, the three-point shooting is what popped out at everybody. Everybody's been asking for a big that can shoot threes next to Bam, which Thomas Bryant can actually do a little bit, by the way. But who knew Orlando Robinson could too, man? Now, I don't know if that's something that's going to translate to the regular season, so I do want to tone it down a bit. I even had one of my boys text me, say, who knew Robinson was a stretch 5? I said, slow your roll. He ain't no stretch 5 just because he taking a couple threes a game. But that was after the second Summer League game. But then he kept doing it. Shot 4 threes a game, 5 threes a game. And he was making, decent amount. Again, I don't know what his percentages are. I have this stat right here that apparently he was rated the second overall based off a ton of statistics behind Isaiah Mobley. And he did finish 25.8 points per game, 9 rebounds, and that was in 4 games. So obviously incredible numbers, incredible offensive production. Now, his footwork leaves a little to be desired. I put a tweet out there after the first game saying Orlando Robinson is the guy that watches 5 minutes of Hakeem Olajuwon highlights before he balls and then goes out on the court and thinks he can do those things. because he was trying some different stuff out there, but it wasn't too bad what I saw. He's obviously big, which is the Heat needs someone who is big. I think he's a true 6'11", 7-footer, which is very, very important because I'm kind of getting tired of these undersized bigs. They say that he's not super fast. I guess they're more so talking about his lateral speed, which you can tell, but he's not a guy that you can't slide a piece of paper under when he jumps. You know, he's not a Cody Zeller. You know, he can get up there, he can catch some lobs, he can go and dunk on your head, and I really do like that from my big man. Obviously, he's shown to be a good rebounder as well, so he's a guy that I'm excited to watch going forward. He looked better than Omer Yurtseven did in his summer league stint. And I want to note that just because I was very excited about Omer Yurtseven after his summer league last year. And obviously he's already off the squad. He just signed with the Utah Jazz. But Orlando Robinson just looks a little different. You know, looked like he was too slow, too unathletic to be in the league. Orlando Robinson actually looks like, while he might not have the lateral quickness, he is still athletic enough to be a very, very solid rotational player in this league. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see Orlando Robinson. I can't say that I'm officially a fan. And he did play solid in some regular season minutes last year too. So let's not let that be forgotten about. Jamal Cain, who is currently a restricted free agent for the team. So now he could sign to a two-way spot. Their current two-ways are Drew Smith and Jamaree Bouyea, who we'll get into next. And because of the new rules and the new CBA, you are actually allowed 3 two-way players, which is new and exciting because the Heat always play the Heat end up playing the two-way players for starter minutes half the year anyway. So it's nice they could add another two-way guy because there's obviously limitations on how long they could play. So the thing I like about Jamal Cain, though, is he is an athlete. There's no doubt about it. Now, a lot of times what the Heat like to do with these undrafted guys is find the guy with all the intangibles, the hustle, the heart, the mentality, which I love because that is me, of course. You can't slide a piece of paper under me when I jump. That is me, by the way. I'm the intangible white boy. I mean, I could score. I could score with the best of them, don't get me wrong. But it's because of IQ, which is smart. But Jamal Cain is an athlete. And I like giving Spoelstra and the rest of the training staff athletes because when you give a guy that, then you could teach him the rest of the stuff. You could teach him the defense. You could teach him the IQ and that sort of thing. Now, don't get me wrong. The dude can defend. And he could shoot. He could catch lobs. He could. I was going to say play defense, but I already said that. He can do basically everything you want out there from a 3-and-D type perspective, a Derrick Jones Jr. type role, because he does have close to that kind of athleticism. I think he's going to play a role on this team too, especially if they end up sending out more guys in a Damian Lillard trade than they bring in. And maybe there's not as many quality veteran minimums out there to replace those guys. I do think Jamal Cain may have a role on this team. He seems to be able to do everything you want from a 3-and-D player, which is exactly what this team needs coming off the bench. The two-way spots, as I was saying, is Jamaree Bouyea and Drew Smith, a couple of point guards there. Kind of similar in that aspect, not the biggest guys. Jamaree Bouyea was thought of more of a scorer, but he obviously flashed his playmaking potential as well, and that's kind of what Drew Smith is known for. Also, I don't know, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm the expert on Drew Smith. Personally, I don't really like Drew Smith at all. He was with the team last year too on a 2-way contract, ended up leaving. He played with Brooklyn for a little bit as well. He doesn't do anything I don't feel like he does anything of substance out there, but maybe it's just because, as Spoelstra would say, I have an untrained eye. That probably is what he would tell me. Now, obviously, you got Jamaree Bouyea, who seems to be like more of a scorer type, which again, this team will need bench scoring if they lose Tyler Herro and some other guys. So maybe one or both of those guys keeps the 2-way spot. I don't necessarily think that's the case, though. I think they'll probably give it to Bouyea and maybe leave that last spot open. Maybe give it to Chase Audige, kind of the last guy I wanted to talk about, just because that's a guy with defensive potential. And what the Heat like to do with their 2-way spots is get defenders. They've done that a lot, whether it was bringing back Briante Weber 100 times, bringing back Marcus Garrett, who was actually with the Knicks Summer League team. That made me mad because I really like Marcus Garrett. I'm surprised they didn't bring him back, but they like filling that role with kind of that point of attack defender spot a lot of times, and that's not Drew Smith. But hey, I think it could be Chase Audige. But that's really all I got for this Summer League. I'm not sure how many people actually care. Just because people sleep on Summer League. They really do, but it's awesome. And you can tell by the amount of NBA players that go out there and, they make a vacation out of it, but they go to the games, they watch the guys. But I do know a lot of Heat Nation does care because Twitter has been ablaze with the hot takes saying, I'm not trading Jaime or Jovic for Dame, which is still crazy to me. Listen, Jaime's a rookie. Jovic played like 10 games last year. Damian Lillard is one of the greatest players of all time, one of the greatest shooters of all time, and he makes his team an instant championship contender, which you could argue they already are. They went to the NBA Finals, but I'd argue Dame makes them favorites. I honestly would. I think he's that good, and I think his fit with this team is that good as well. But that's all I got for this episode, though, man. Make sure to comment down below. Tell me who you like from Summer League. Tell me if you think I'm sleeping on Drew Peterson or something like that. But subscribe and like the video because it helps other people see this, and it does help me a lot too. So I appreciate it. But that's all I got to say for this episode. I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.
Look, pull up in your city tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.